Hi, Jim from Art in Metal here. If you like our videos and find them useful, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. What I'd like to show you today is how to install the second generation of our HST fan on your Kubota BX. The first thing you notice is I've got the Kubota above my head because I've got it on my car hoist. If you're not fortunate enough to have a car hoist, I highly recommend that you put the rear wheels on some stands. Some cheap ramps are perfect. Just to get yourself some more room up under here will make the job a lot easier. The first thing you need to do is remove the standard fan guard, and I've already got the nuts off, so there's 2 bolts on either side, and the easiest way to do it is to remove the top bolt first and then pivot it down and remove the remaining bolts. Okay, so the first thing that we do is install the 2 bolts into the fan shells. You'll do this for both halves. You'll notice that the flat side has the heads of the bolts, and the bolts are protruding. Just wind them in all the way, and this is one of the bolts that's come out of the original fan, and just screw that in all the way into the fan. And the fan I'm installing here is the new polyurethane fan, but it's the exact same procedure for the PETG fan. So it winds up looking like that before you put them on the tractor. For the fan version that's got the band, you want to put the band into the recess. There's a recess on one side. Just pop the band in there and it'll lock from going this direction. And then just put some tape around the whole lot to hold it in place while you install the fan. And what I like to do is just push a piece of the tape over itself so that you've got something to grab onto to remove the tape later. And then you can go and put it on the tractor. This will make it a lot easier to tighten up the band later. Now we have the fan shells prepared, we need to install them. And what we do is we just pass it over the top of the 3 bars, turn it around and line it up on the bolt. From there we can take our 12mm spanner and pass it between the last 2 and engage the fan on the thread. Okay, now we've got the fan installed and tightened up a little bit. You don't want to fully tighten it, so you want to be able to have a little bit of movement on it at this stage. Now we need to rotate the engine. So turning around to the front of the engine, we just put a screwdriver or a pry bar in there, and you can rotate the engine as you go. And what we're trying to do is line up the second bolt at the bottom as we turn it around. So there's our second bolt lined up at the bottom. Now we can go ahead and install the second fan shell. Okay, so now we have the second bolt at the bottom. We install the second fan shell in the same way as the first, passing it over the top, lining it up on the bolt, and the 2 halves should engage, and we tighten that up. Now we have the fan on. If it's the PETG fan, we'll proceed to installing the locking ring. If you have the polyurethane fan, we will be installing the orange band around the outside. Okay, so we next rotate the band to the bottom. We grab the other end, push it through and get it around. Got the second one, use the same procedure. Just put your hand in there and take up the slack for the second tie. The last thing we want to do is grab a pair of pliers on that and tighten the whole thing right up. And before you do, just make sure that the two halves of your fan are clipped together. Okay, you need to rotate the fan back around to get to the second half of the tie and repeat the procedure. Just give it a good try to see if you can tighten it up and cut the excess off with your cutters. Come in with a pair of pliers, or a pair of cutters, sorry, and just snip off the excess of the tie. Okay, so if you have the fan style that has the locking ring with the bolts coming through, you need to rotate the gap so that it's towards the bottom, and then take your first locking ring, put it over the bolts, push it down, then you'll grab some of the nylock nuts and put them on. You can start them by hand easy enough, just until the nylock takes up. There we go. Now the next thing you need to do is rotate it around to put the second half of the locking ring on. Don't do these up yet because it'll give it a little play to allow you to do it up. Once we've installed the second shell, we'll do up all the nuts. Okay, so now we've got the nylock nuts installed on the locking ring and both locking rings in place. We need a socket drive with a 7mm. And just come in and engage them by hand until the nylocks take up. You can then put your socket drive on that. Put a 7mm behind to engage the nut head and tighten him up. You don't need to tighten it up mega tight because these are lock bolts, and you don't want to overly compress the polyurethane. Okay, so now we've got the fan installed, you go ahead and reinstall your belly plate. If you're also going to be installing the fan guard, just put this in place with 2 bolts on one side, 1 bolt on the other, rotate it in so that we can go ahead and fit the fan guard. If you've got the polyurethane fan, you'll notice that it's quite flexible on the bolts, so that's quite normal. That's to allow for the any impact of debris that might get through. Okay, that's the installation of the fan completed. Please subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed our video. If you've got any further questions, please get in touch with us and ask. We'd be happy to help you out. Thank you.